Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome again to La Barbería. El Viejo de las Barbas saying hello again. And we have a follow-up video. This time we're going to talk about our shmup options on Switch, hence Shmuptions on Switch. Beautiful play on words thanks to, the master Chris from the Hidden Fortress. Appreciate it, Chris. Thank you. So yeah, this time I want to show you my small collection of shmup games that I have on Switch. Yeah, kind of like give you a general idea of how I vibe with some of these games. So let's go. So first of all, we have there are many other types of games here, but I'll focus mostly on shmups. Akai Katana Shin. This is the port that was released on Switch. It's gonna be about 2 years, I guess. It's a really cool version. It's got the Shin mode, which is like an extra mode and a range of some sort. And I really dig the vibe of this game. I really like the idea of samurai warriors flying across the screen, turning into planes, right, and shooting everything down. It's really cool. The visual style is really cool. And then we have Orius or Orius, or if you want to go with the Japanese name, XXX. It's a really cool game. It's a horizontal shmup, more traditional in the sense that it's sprite based, more memo heavy. It's not a bullet hell, and I really like its main gameplay mechanic. That is, as you can see on the screen, that kind of orb or force, as you would say, similar to those R-type games. But this one is crazy because the force that you wield is kind of alive, and when you shoot it out, it's got these tentacles that move on its own. So it's kind of like playing by your side. It's a really cool vibe, like really psychedelic. Well, I don't know if psychedelic, but like quite graphic. I would say like colorful and graphic. Real nice. We have Astropede again. Again, I mentioned this one on the Shmuptions on Steam video. I eventually will have to come back to this game. And then Bats again, the Saturn Tribute port. I really like this game, particularly the boosted range. I'm gonna call it a range, which is like a different version of the base game, in which you have a smaller hitbox, so which makes it even more playable. And just like I did with my Dodonpachi Saitai Ojo upload from a couple of days ago, I would like to take the time to defend this game and the value that it has. It's been known that many of these games, many of these Saturn tribute ports on Switch are not well liked by many people because of the performance, or so they say. But in my case, I am not a hardcore shmup player, and I don't play for score. I mostly play for survival. So even with whatever input lag this game has, whatever frames of delay it has, in my opinion, it runs just fine. I mean, it's super playable, and it's quite interesting. It's really nice graphically. The soundtrack is dope. So yeah, recommended. And then here we are, right? So we were mentioning this back on the Shmuptions on Steam video, and this is where I got the games, right? So for the Arcade Stadium second, I got Eco Fighters. This is really cool horizontal shmup that is made around the idea of fighting for the planet, saving the planet from toxic disaster and industrialization hazards. Real nice game. And then here you have many others. The ones that I remember top of my head are Giga Wing, real cool game, Varth, and a couple others that I got here. Yeah, nice. Particularly Giga Wing, I think it's really cool. And then of course Cotton Fantasy. Um, I dig this one. In part because it's like either the last or the latest, one of the latest releases in the Cotton franchise. But this one in particular I really like because each of the characters you can see on screen provides a different gameplay mode of sorts, or different gameplay mechanics, if you will, and even stages of their own. So Cotton is the main character, and she can shoot but also throw magic attacks. Uh, but then there's also characters like from Psyvarrior Delta, the one blue on the top right. That one comes from Psyvarrior Delta, in which the main mechanic is grazing, so it comes back. That mechanic comes back into this game. So I still haven't explored that game fully, but it's real nice. I like it. I mean, the super cute aesthetic is not my cup of tea, but the gameplay is fine. And then, of course, the Crimson Clover World Explosion release on Switch. I have it also on Steam, but I've played it more here. And in fact, one cool thing that I discovered a couple of days ago, that I was showing many of these games to one of my friends. Shout outs to Galufeta. I discovered that, like most of these shmups on Switch, you can rotate the screen, right? You can put it in tate mode, which is like when you're taking advantage of the vertical screen for these kind of games. But then I realized that this game in particular is smart, because when you rotate the screen and you're holding your Switch like vertically, the Joy-Con that is at the bottom, which would be the one that you would be holding as a controller, automatically changes as well. And now the D-pad is matching the orientation of the screen, and then the face button is now also matching the orientation of the screen. So this is a really cool game that allows you to play vertical with just one Joy-Con, even without a flip grip. So the flip grip is an accessory that I don't have. It would be cool to have one, but again, it's just nice discovering that this particular game has that option out of the box. So nice detail. And then, well, this one we already discussed in the shmups on Shmuptions on Steam video. Danmaku Unlimited 3. I am not particularly super into this game. Something about the visual style doesn't fully get me. But oh yeah, then we have the Darius games. So this one is the Darius Cosmic Collection Arcade. It contains Darius 1, which is the 3-screen game, Darius 2, which is a 2-screen game, and it also has Darius Gaiden, which is a single-screen game. And, the Darius games are really cool in terms of the visual design, the underwater motifs, the bosses that are like sea creatures, and the music is amazing by this group called Suntata that has made many soundtracks for this series. So yeah, recommended. And then of course we got Darius Burst CS Core Plus Taito / Sega pack. This is basically a kind of less complete version of the same game that is already available on Steam. Like I mentioned before, this one has a lot of DLC that adds ships and mechanics from many other games and companies, including Cave and Capcom and things. And this particular version only contains, it's already there, DLCs for Taito and Sega games. So like the core game is basically the same. It's just that when it comes to DLC or extra modes, this one is a little bit more limited than the Steam release, but well worth it because it's portable, and I don't have a Steam Deck. And then Darius Burst EX Plus. This one again is kind of some of the same content that is included already in the AC mode of the Steam release, but this one has like extra content, right? Specific missions and events that weren't available anywhere else. So I just thought it would be cool to be able to experience all of the content even if it's spread out in so many games as it is. And then we got some cave games. This is Dead Smiles 1 and 2. Again, really cool horizontal moving shmups, with a very gothic motif, which is not my favorite, but I guess it's cool. I mean, the gameplay is fine. And then, of course, we have Dodonpachi Resurrection, which is DFK, or Daifukatsu, the original Japanese name. Yeah, just a classic, right? It's very dense in terms of content. It has a lot of content. And then we come to Drainies. This one we already mentioned in the previous video. Really cool game, adventure, really impressive in terms of scale and how it presents a universe, and the ships flying in space and being massive, and you being in theory underpowered, but with a really cool shield absorb mechanic that allows you to be a beast. Really cool game. Again, Enter the Gungeon. I've mentioned this before. Played many hours, haven't been able to beat it once on my own, but it still keeps on giving. It's still surprising. I like it. Let me jump to this one real quick. So Exit the Gungeon, we discussed it a little bit before, on the other video. Really cool, horizontal and vertical in a way, roguelike twin stick shmup. Really cool. And of course, Escaluda 2, B Ascension, the third bright stone of birth. What's up with the names? I mean, who comes up with those names? Doesn't really matter, the game is great. Which brings me to a point. This one, and this one, Mushihime-sama, are no longer purchasable in the eShop. Story has it that Livewire, the publishing rights that they had, expired and they weren't renewed, so you can no longer purchase them digitally on the eShop, which is a shame. I mean, you can always go physical, but yeah, I mean, convenience-wise, it's a shame that these are not available anymore. And then Darius, G Darius HD, really beautiful looking Darius game. Again, all the motifs are underwater, but this one has a really cool mechanic to capture enemies. Yeah, really cool. And here we are. I mentioned these two in the previous video. These are, the demake of the DOJ, and the kind of boss rush-esque game based on DOJ. But on Switch, you can also get the demake of Ketsui and the boss rush sort of game based on Ketsui. Really cool. Game Tengoku Cruising Mix Special. This one is a really special game. Sorry for the pun. Just based on the premise alone. So, I mean, from what I can understand, it's like many characters from many different games come together in an attempt to save the arcades that have been kind of infected with these enemies and this quirky boss character. It's all goofy, it's all crazy, but the gameplay itself, it's quite simple and it's really solid. I like it very much. Grace Counter GM, you know this one. We talked about it before. This is the GM version, and GM basically means game maker. So this is let's say a port of the original game, now made in the game maker engine, hence the GM. And something that I didn't mention before that I think it's worth mentioning. I mean, if you have seen videos of this game before, you already know what I'm going to say regarding its presentation. So, as many other vertical shmups, you know that the screen is limited, right? You can only see this much of the screen. But then this particular game has this cool feature in which you can actually see the entire playfield, and so you're able to see whenever ships are coming into the screen, and you can see perfectly when they're just about to come into your gameplay area. It gives a really cool effect of wideness while not compromising the actual gameplay real estate, which is really cool. Um, well, yeah, Mushi needs no introduction. It's the complete package. It includes version 1.5, which is cool. Panzer Dragoon Remake. I'm really a fan of this series, even though I haven't extensively played any of the games. The most that I have played is Panzer Dragoon Orta in 360 via, backwards compatibility. Yeah, I will eventually get into this one. On-rail shooters are not like my favorite genre in the shooter genre, but it's cool nonetheless. So we'll have to practice to get the most out of it. Yeah, I mean, it's got nothing to do with shmups, but I wanted to make a mention of Picross on Switch, because a couple of weeks ago I was fortunate enough to play some co-op Picross with two friends. So we were three of us. There were three of us going together against these 15 times 10 images, and it was really nice. I mean, it works really nice. I really like the multiplayer Picross, so highly recommend it. Another classic, Radiant Silvergun. I mean, there's little else to be said. It's a brilliant game. And the beautiful M2 port of Ray's Arcade Chronology that includes Ray Force, Ray Storm, and Ray Crisis. The best versions you could possibly want. I have finished the first one, Ray Force. I'm sorry, Ray Storm. Or is it Ray Force? I think it's Ray Force, the first one, right? And then Sagaya. So this one I did have to get out of the Japanese eShop because it came as an exclusive when you bought some packages here in Amazon or whatever. I never got it, but it was available as a standalone game in the Japanese eShop, so I snagged it. Lightning Force or Thunder Force 4 and 3. This is the arcade port of 3, and this is the fourth one. Really cool, fast moving rock in terms of music. Shmuptions. Softstar again. This is somewhat of a recent game. Lots of gameplay to be had in there. Many ships to choose from. I guess we're just about to finish. I guess saving the best for last. So the M2. Yeah. So the M2 ports. In this case, the first one, the port of. Well, not the port. I mean the collection of Alesta games, of the ported Alesta games. This one in particular I really like because it contains like a new Alesta game, GG Alesta 3, which was made with Game Gear as a console in mind. So it plays like a Game Gear game, but made with a modern approach by M2 themselves, which is great. I actually have one. I actually have one 1cc of the first Alesta game, and I thought it was really nice, really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was too easy, and then I realized that I was indeed playing on the easy version, because hidden inside the menus there's an option to have it or in easy or not easy. Easy basically gives you like a ton of invulnerability when you grab items. So which made it very easy. I will eventually have to, once you see it without playing on easy. Sprite Sai, again the Japanese M2 port of Sprite, which Mr. Chris from the Hidden Fortress just recently won CC'd. Congratulations, Chris. I will eventually have to get onto this. And then the Japanese M2 port of Daiojo. An amazing game. There's little else to be said about it that hasn't been said before. I guess, no, I don't guess. I do think this port runs beautifully. And lastly, the latest Doronpachi release, Doronpachi Sai Daiojo. Now, this is actually the American release. It's all in Japanese, even though it's the American release. It's basically the same game as the Japanese release. So I'm glad I was able to get it without going through the hoops of the Japanese eShop. And I didn't mention this one, but it's already here. Ikaruga by Treasure. So it's been on many consoles, and it's something that I have pending to do. I want to finish it. I don't think I will ever score it. The chaining is a little bit too complicated for me. But I guess the actual gameplay requirements just to be, able to once you see it, I think it's within my grasp. I just need to grind it. So there you have it. These are all the games. Yeah, so let me know what you think. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you next time.